Hey, what's up? It's Nathan Williams with Crazy Marketing. Now this video right here is a compilation of several videos that help make up the course that you're taking right now. Now to help you navigate through everything, I've provided timestamps down below in the description, so I recommend going, check out those timestamps, watching what's relevant to you. Let's get into it. In this video, we're going to go ahead and talk about custom audiences. Now, custom audiences are audiences that have engaged with you in some sort of way, shape, or form. So we're going to set up a bunch of custom audiences when we build a campaign together. So you're going to see them more and more examples and scenarios and things of that nature. So this video is kind of an overview of custom audiences and how they work. And of course, once you see it in real world scenarios, it'll make even more sense. So anyway, to get here, you just go into Assets and Audiences, and you'll wind up in a page like this, and then Create Audience, and we have 3 different audiences to choose from. Custom Audience, which is what we're going over in this video. Then we got Lookalike Audiences, which are audiences full of people that look like people that are part of your custom audiences. So we'll do that in the next video. And then we have Saved Audiences, which are audiences that you've kind of defined by yourself based off of Facebook's information, so behaviors, demographics, interests, things like that. So we're going to go through all these 3 audience types, so you'll see exactly what they are and kind of how they work. So custom audiences, let's click into it and see what happens. So quickly, we have website, customer list, app activity, offline activity, so 4 different sources that we have, and then there's Facebook sources. And so we have video, Instagram business profile, lead form, events, instant experience, and Facebook page. And we're going to go into each one of these kind of quickly. So website, and of course this is for people that have engaged on your website, hence the reason that you need to have your Facebook pixel set up so you can create these custom audiences of people that have engaged with your website. All right, so there's a bunch of different options, and a lot of it's pretty self-explanatory once you click into it and you think about it a little bit. So include people who meet any of the following criteria, and we can switch this to all of the following criteria. And then you, of course, want to make sure you have the correct Facebook pixel selected. I only have 1 pixel, so that makes it easy, but if you have multiple pixels, make sure you select the right one. Otherwise, you're going to have issues, obviously. And then we got different options here. So all website visitors, people who visit specific pages, visitors by time spent. And then we have events, so all that event information that we're sending into Facebook, we can go ahead and create audiences. So, we could, create an audience full of people that have triggered the lead event in the last 30 days. So that could be very handy, right? Coming on down here, add to cart event, purchase event, etc. So a bunch of different events you could go ahead and create a custom audience with. So pretty nifty stuff. Coming up here to people who visited specific pages, we could go ahead and select that real quick. And you notice we got in the past however many days, so the default was 30 here, but you could do 1 day. And you can do a maximum of up to 180 days. So you can do a 180-day audience if you want to, or whatever makes sense. Again, we're going to go over some of the campaign strategy and follow-on videos, which will help you define your custom audiences and how many days and all that type of stuff. So anyway, we do page contains, doesn't contain, equals, etc. So you could do like semllc.thrivecart.com. So basically those are all my order form pages, are all on this domain right here. So we got that. And I could of course type more domains in here or more page paths in here, just so long as they contain whatever I want. So it makes sense, right? Pretty self-explanatory. We can also do and also, so they must be on this domain and also contain, book. So if they're on any order form page that has book also in the page path, then I want them to go into this audience. So, whatever makes sense, obviously. And you can narrow it down another category and also this. And we could even do some further refinement with this option, further refined by. Click on it. We got aggregated value. So basically frequency is greater than or equal to 2. So they've triggered this option up here twice or more, or there's sum of. So, and then parameter and operator. You can get really, really fancy in here. I hardly mess with this because you need a lot of traffic probably to get this thing built up. So anyway, we'll close that out. We could also do include more people down here, so it could be visited this condition right here, but also they've watched a video in the last 30 days. So we could do even further refinement, and then we can also exclude people as well, and maybe we want to exclude all leads for some reason. Who knows? But I'm just showing you what we can do, and we can exclude even more people and so on. So a lot of different options. You can really build a awesome custom audience with all this stuff. And again, we're going to go over several examples later on, so you won't be going crazy with all these options. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the training. Real quick, I have a special offer that I want to present to you where you can get a digital copy of my book as well as an audio copy. Plus, I'm giving away 20 pre-written emails that make your email writing a piece of cake. And finally, I have a 7-figure funnel. It's the first funnel that I built that generated over 7 figures for a small business, and it includes training on how to actually set up the funnel. If you're interested in that, plus several other bonuses, link in the description down below, or there'll be a link in the little box up above here. So if you're interested, check it out. Back to the training. All right, so some other options. We have customer list up here. And basically what this allows you to do is you export a list of customers or email subscribers, and then you can upload that list into Facebook, and Facebook's gonna go out there and use whatever information you uploaded, like name, email address, actual physical address, phone number, etc. And it's gonna connect that contact information with the people that are on Facebook. So you can build a list of customers, a custom audience with a list of customers, right? So that's very handy, especially if you have like a large email list or something like that. You could upload that into Facebook, and then you could put ads in front of your email list. Pretty nifty, cool stuff. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back now. We got app activity, so if you have an app, you could go ahead and connect it. I've never done that before, but if you have an app, if you have questions, I'll try and help you with it. But hopefully, if you're advanced enough to create an app, you can figure out how to connect the Facebook pixel to it. Offline activity, so this can be very handy. There's a lot of POS, point of sale systems that integrate with Facebook ads and these offline activity custom audiences. So basically they could like push the customer information into Facebook, build up your audience, and somebody goes to your physical store, buys something, and then next thing you know, or next thing they know, they're seeing an ad for the product that they just bought, or an upsell of the product that they just bought, or something like that. So you get really fancy and creative with this offline activity option. So those are your sources. And then we of course have Facebook sources. So there's some good options here, like video here. Basically, you could go ahead and target people that have watched a certain amount of your video that is on Facebook. So 3 seconds, 10 seconds, at least 15 seconds, 25%, 50%, and so on. So pretty cool. You come in here, let's say 10 seconds, choose a video. So find your video that you want to go ahead and target. So let's just say this one here and confirm. So if they watch 10 seconds of this video, I want to go ahead and retarget these people. So you can put that video in front of them as an ad. So basically they watch 10 seconds of an ad, and then next thing they know, they're seeing other ads from you. So that's a great retargeting strategy and tactic, and we're going to be using that when we set up a campaign. And then we got in the past however many days, and so on. So really cool stuff right there, obviously. Instagram business profile, so if people have engaged with your business on Instagram, you can build an audience of people. Lead forms, so if you use lead forms, you could go ahead and retarget people that have opened this form, who have opened it but didn't submit it, who have opened but submitted form. So pretty cool stuff right there. Events, so if you run events, you can go ahead and retarget people who have engaged, and people who responded as going, and all this stuff. So cool stuff. I'm going quick over these because these aren't used as often. Most people don't use this, lead forms or events. So I'm going kind of quick, but if you have questions, definitely ask. I'll help you out. Instant experience, so people who open instant experience, people who clicked any links in this instant experience. So cool stuff right there. Facebook page, people who have engaged with your page, people who have engaged with any post or ad, any call to action button, saved your page or post. So awesome, cool stuff right there. And like I said a couple times, we're going to create a bunch of different custom audiences as we build a campaign together. So we're going to go into it in more details, more practical examples. I just wanted to show you kind of what's out there. And again, custom audiences are audiences that you create with information that you gather. So basically it's people that have already interacted with you and your business. So these are really awesome, powerful audiences, often used for retargeting and also often used for lookalike audiences. And that is it for custom audiences. All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about lookalike audiences. Now I'm in the Facebook Ads Manager, the audiences area. I'm gonna create audience and lookalike audience. Now, a lookalike audience, it's pretty easy to understand, but it's also a very, very powerful way to scale your advertising efforts. So basically what a lookalike audience is an audience that looks like one of the custom audiences that you've previously made. So again, these custom audiences are people that have engaged with your business. So it could be, page views, so people just landing on your website. It could be people watching videos on Facebook. It could be leads. It could be buyers. It could be people on your email list if you upload your email list. So it could be a whole bunch of different people that have already engaged with you and your business. So, they look like a person, right? So basically what a lookalike audience is it takes like the average of all the people in whatever audience you choose, and it like figures out their demographics, behaviors, interests, etc. And it builds like a customer avatar of that person. And then it goes out and finds like the closest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% of a country that looks like your custom audience. So very cool, very powerful, and a great way to scale your advertising efforts. So let's go ahead and set one up. So you go into here to lookalike audience, and then it's pretty simple. Select an existing audience or data source. So you come in here and you select an existing audience or data source, right? And it gives us a couple options. So value-based sources. So these are sources like customer list with lifetime value. So if you have a list of customers and you uploaded it and you associated lifetime value, you can select an audience from here. And obviously this should give you like a really good solid audience of people to create a lookalike audience of, because you have lifetime values associated with your customers, and Facebook can do a lot of analysis with that type of information. Alternatively, you have other sources over here, and these are like your typical like engagement audiences. So people that have engaged on your website or purchased something through your website. So you see I have all my custom audiences popping up in here. Let me filter real quick. So here's like my leads, all lead and purchase events in the last 180 days, engage with my Facebook page in the last 30 days, lead in the last 30 days, purchase events in the last 180 days. So you see all my custom audiences that I've created, I could go ahead and build a lookalike audience of. So I'm just going to do purchase events in the last 180 days. That's a pretty good audience to choose from, right? Customers, basically, good things to have. And it pops up a little note here saying it'd be better to use a value-based lookalike, but maybe you don't have that, no problem. You can use the next best thing you have. All right, so that's pretty simple, self-explanatory, I hope. Coming on down here, we select our audience location. So here's where we go ahead and select either the country or region. So you can select regions as well as countries. So, United States. And you could add multiple regions if you want to, but typically I recommend just doing one region. And when you go and you create your ad sets, you could just target multiple regions instead of creating one lookalike audience with several regions. So anyway, that's just, one method. And then you select your audience size, so it goes from 0 to 10%. So you see 1% is about 2,390,000 people. 2% of course is twice that, so 4.79 million people, and so on. So of course, the smaller your audience, the more closely they resemble your custom audience that you've already created. So to keep that in mind, I typically would start, small, 1%, and scale up as I need to scale my advertising efforts up, right? Makes some sense. Use the smaller, more precise audiences when you still can. And you can also go ahead and create multiple lookalike audiences at the same time. So you could create like 2 lookalike audiences, basically 1%, the closest 1%, and then the next 1 to 2%, or the next 2 to 3%, and you could shift this around. So one strategy for like cold traffic and scaling is you have an ad set targeting your 1%, another ad set targeting your like 1 to 2%, which is like the next broad category, and then you have like another ad set targeting 2 to 5%, which is like your really broad traffic out there as a really big audience. So that's one way you could scale, and we'll talk more about this in the scaling section of this course. But I just wanted to point it out while we're sitting here. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just create one lookalike audience for this particular example, and we'll go ahead and create audience. So now Facebook's going to go out there and find, the top 1% of United States residents that look like people that have purchased or triggered the purchase event in the last 180 days. Now, note, Obviously, the larger your custom audience is, like the more data you have in your custom audience, the better quality of analysis Facebook is going to be able to do for your lookalike audience. So you need at least, I would say, well, according to Facebook, you only need about 100, 120 people in your custom audience in order to create a lookalike audience. But to really, create a good lookalike audience, you need probably 500 or more. The more the merrier. If you have 10,000, that'd be a super awesome custom audience to build a lookalike audience off of. But definitely, you want to try and hit that 500 number. Otherwise, in my experience, the results just aren't that good. And so that is lookalike audiences in a nutshell. Again, pretty simple concept to understand, but it's a great way to scale your advertising efforts and reach those cold traffic audiences that you might not have reached otherwise. In this video, we'll be discussing saved audiences. And so we're in our Facebook Ads Manager and the audiences area. We go to create audience and saved audience. And now we can go ahead and create a saved audience. And the saved audience is essentially a choose your own audience option. So if you don't have a custom audience or a list of people to upload or people browsing your website or anything like that you can't create a custom audience with, you can create a saved audience where you select who you want to target. So pretty handy option. And also when you're creating your ad sets, you're able to create your own audience there. So you could create it as a saved audience where I am right now, or you could also create your audiences as you create your ad sets. And I'll show you that later on when we're creating different ad sets. So let's just check it out while we're here. And it's pretty self-explanatory, so that's nice. So our audience name, I'll just call it demo. And you could include a custom audience in your saved audience if you want to. So if you select in here, and you could target like a lookalike audience or a custom audience and go ahead and hone in on that audience if you want to. That's fine. And then there's that locations option. So people who live in a location, everyone in this location, people recently in this location, people traveling this location, and then of course you can select the various locations. You could include or exclude locations. So if say for example I don't want to include Alaska because shipping costs more to ship up to Alaska, I could go ahead and exclude it. Same thing with Hawaii. Could exclude Hawaii. So there we go, just like that. I'm targeting the United States except for Alaska and Hawaii. Nice and easy. If you have a local business, you could go ahead and type in your business's address right here, and you could basically set a pin around your address. So let me go ahead and grab an address real quick. So let me grab this Walmart address, paste it on in here, and we have the option for different radiuses. And I'm actually excluding this location, which is fine for this example, but you could go ahead and set a different radius. So again, if you have a physical location that you want to target people around, you could be, a 10-mile radius around your office or something along those lines. So you could really hone in on who you want to target. You can also drop pins, so you could really precisely just hone in on somewhere you want to target, drop a pin, and just like that, you're targeting, latitude and longitude, and you can do a radius around that area as well. So pretty nifty location targeting, if I do say so myself. Now coming down, we have different age ranges. Of course, self-explanatory. Who in your age range do you want to target? Gender, self-explanatory. Languages, self-explanatory. What language do you want people you're targeting to speak primarily? So self-explanatory. And then we get into the detailed targeting here, and this is where the power really kind of lies. You can target different demographics, interests, or behaviors here, and there's a couple ways to kind of use this tool, and I'm going to give you a strategy in just a second here called audience stacking. So give me just a minute. We'll do a brief overview first. So let's say that I want to target people that like marketing automation. I could search for marketing automation, and there's an interest right there. So boom, I found an interest. And once we have one option in here, one demographic piece of information, interest, behavior, we could go ahead and hit suggestions, and it'll suggest other interest, demographics, behaviors that match. So for example, like MailChimp, HubSpot, Constant Contact, iContact, Hootsuite, Autoresponder, etc. So pretty self-explanatory. You just add a bunch of interests in here and it'll grow your audience. So if we scroll up here, my potential reach is 8 million people when targeting worldwide. Let me change this over to United States. So about 2 million people I could go ahead and target here. And you could also go ahead and browse here. So if you click browse, it gives you a breakdown of demographics, interests, behaviors, and more categories. And this is pretty handy because maybe you're not thinking of everything off the top of your head. I mean, there's probably, I don't know, 30,000 options in here. So the likelihood of you thinking of everything you could target is, minimal, no offense. But so you could go into demographics and we could look at like education, financial, home, life events, parents, politics, relationship, work. So if we want to target, single people, we could go ahead and do that. Throw that piece of information in here. So single people, we could go browse some more. Let's go into interest this time. We got, business and industry, entertainment, fitness and wellness. Let's click in here. So people interested in gyms. That looks cool. Let's throw that in there just for the sake of example. Now let's scroll up. And now our potential reach is 62 million people. And the reason for that, of course, is because I just threw in this single category, which has 290 million people in it worldwide. And then gyms has 252 million people in it worldwide. So in this box, we're creating basically who we want to target. And what's really cool is Facebook gives us the option to go ahead and exclude people. So we could exclude certain people based off of their demographics, interests, behaviors, and or we could also narrow audience. So when we click this narrow audience, the individuals must also match at least one of the following fields. So let's say we want to throw in dogs, like people that like dogs. Throw in dogs right here. And now we're looking for people that are single or like autoresponders or like Constant Contact or like Hootsuite or like HubSpot or like gyms. And they must also like dogs. So it's kind of a random audience, obviously, but let's scroll back up. And now we're down to 20 million. Where were we at? 60 million before? So adding that dogs qualifier in there shrank the audience down to 20 million. Now let me scroll down and clear all this out because let's create an actual audience following the stacking strategy. So the audience stacking strategy works like this. You're going to be targeting specific interests. And when I say specific interests, I mean things that have a name, essentially. So for example, Tim Ferriss, Glengarry Glen Ross, that the movie with always be closing quote in it. MailChimp, so application. Inc. magazine, so that's the name of a magazine. So names as opposed to just like a broad category. For example, entrepreneurship, or health and wellness, or fitness. Like those are very broad and could incorporate a bunch of things. So what you're looking for are names when you're targeting specific interests and you're not going super broad. And then what you want to go ahead and do is stack categories of specific interests. And here are some examples of categories. Now this is not an all-encompassing list, and you can kind of pick and choose and add to so things work for your particular business and who you need to target. But some examples of categories of interest you could target are movies/TV shows, maybe magazines, maybe people, famous people, celebrities, etc., books and authors, websites, apps, companies, travel, so locations people travel to or visit, etc., clothing, so brands and stuff like that, musicians people listen to, restaurants they visit, stuff like that. So let's head over to Facebook and I'll actually demonstrate what I'm explaining right here. And for our example, let's pretend like we are trying to target people that like marketing automation or are interested in marketing automation, and let's just dive into it. So for my detail targeting, let's go ahead and we'll just start with apps because I know that works, and we'll just start with MailChimp because I saw it earlier. So MailChimp, and now we can go ahead and target other applications or softwares that are related to marketing automation. So I can hit suggestions here, There's get response, constant contact, HubSpot, I guess, sure, Infusionsoft, eye contact, autoresponder right here. That's broad, right? That's not like a specific brand name or anything like that. So even though it's a smaller audience and it might work out, it's still broad. So we're looking for specific names, and let's see if I can find any more. There's email marketing. Again, that's just a broad term. We don't want to go with that. And okay, so that's good for the sake of example. So we have an apps/software category right here, and now we can go ahead and stack another category on top of it. So we go ahead and do narrow audience, and let's go ahead and do people this time. So let's go with Ryan Dice. Can never spell his name correctly. I know Ryan Dice does a lot of marketing automation type stuff, so we'll go ahead and select him. Do suggestions. We got Amy Porterfield, Russell Brunson, we got Gary Vaynerchuk, and not necessarily that Gary Vaynerchuk does a lot of marketing automation type stuff, so maybe I'll wipe Gary Vaynerchuk out of there. Let's scroll on down here. Mike Dillard, we've got Evan Pagan, Neil Patel, Marie Forleo. Of course, this might take a little bit of research. You might want to research some of these people. Like, not exactly sure who some of these folks are. So you want to make sure that they actually talk about marketing automation or whatever topic that you are addressing. So there's a list of people. We can scroll up to the top here, and now you see my potential reaches 200,000 people, and it's shrinking a little bit. Now we could narrow even further if we want to. Narrow further, and let's say we want to go after certain magazines, and I mean there's no marketing automation magazine that I know of, but maybe we just kind of want to target like people like entrepreneurs, people that are trying to grow their business. So let's search for like Entrepreneur Magazine. There we go. Entrepreneur Magazine. Suggestions. There's Success Magazine, Inc. Magazine, Fast Company, Fortune, Forbes, Money, etc. So let's scroll back up, and now our potential reach is 120,000 people. So we have 120,000 people that like, marketing automation software of some sort, and of course I could add a few more in here to kind of expand my audience a little bit. And then we have, and these people that like this software must also like at least one of these people, and then also must like at least one of these magazines. So you see how you can stack these categories in order to really hone in on who you want to target. Now you do have to be a little cautious here, because if you start putting so many narrowing factors on your audience, you're going to have a teeny tiny audience, and realistically, you probably want about 500,000 people minimum in a national audience or worldwide audience. But sometimes your audience size is what your audience size is, and it's probably better to, go through these 120,000 people that are like really ramped up, like your perfect ideal customer, than it is to, go really broad and, put your message in front of the wrong people. So I definitely wouldn't go any less than 100,000, but if you could keep it around, 500,000 and up, that's probably a better fit. You don't want to burn this audience out too quickly. But again, if you're just starting out, you want to get, a good solid audience going to your offers, people who you really want, and then you can always create a lookalike audience once you have enough data. So there's that option too. So the point of these saved audiences is basically to get to that lookalike audience. And you could also select different connections, so people that are connected to your page, or exclude people that like your page, and so on. So a few connection options, but that's it for these saved audiences. The main thing I wanted to show you was that stacking strategy, which can be very beneficial. Remember, you want to target specific interests, where it's like somebody's name or the name of a service or a product. You don't want to go too broad, because who knows what that actually includes. And that's it for the saved audiences. Alrighty, so I hope you enjoyed the training. Now I have a quick special offer for you. So if you want a digital copy as well as an audio copy of my book here, as well as 20 pre-written emails to make your email copywriting a piece of cake, and I also have a 7-figure funnel. It's the first funnel that I built that generated over 7 figures of revenue for a small business, and the funnel includes a course on how to set it up and also how to actually sell that funnel to small businesses. So if you're interested in starting a digital marketing agency, that course and that funnel are an ideal option for you. And there's a bunch of other benefits and stuff, bonuses and stuff. Anyway, link in the description down below, or there's going to be a little button probably up here in the video if you're interested in checking it out. Yeah, just check it out if you're interested. And other than that, I hope you have a great rest of the day.